This show has been on my watch list forever, but for some reason I've been putting it off. Then one day I just got bored and was looking through Netflix. Nothing grabbed my attention. Then I saw Dark and thought now might be a good time to start watching this show. I sat down and watched the first episode and was completely enthralled by it. After the first episode ended, I wanted more. So I continued watching. This is one of those few shows that I would consider perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Now let's talk about the story. In a small town called Winden, which is mostly known for its nuclear power plants, a boy, Eric Obendorf, suddenly goes missing. Poof, that's it, vanished.
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. It's gone.
Our main character Jonas, his father Michael, hanged himself. Nothing is explained, everything is a mystery, and there's a creepy element to it with the cave in the forest. And here's my spoiler warning to y'all. I'm going to be talking about all 3 seasons of the show, so if you haven't caught up with the final episode of season 3, I wouldn't recommend you to continue watching this video. Now, there are so many mysteries and questions, and this show uses the concept of time, generational trauma to explain, unravel, and link everything together. Things like the lunar solar cycle, where everything returns back to its original position after 33 years. Master Zhuang's paradox, where he poses the question, are humans dreaming to be a butterfly or vice versa? And even the bootstrap paradox, where all of time, past, present, and future is like one continuous loop, a peripheral cycle with no start and end. Everything is connected. There aren't any loose strings left untied. All the knots were tied very nicely into the story. Schrodinger's cat experiment too. Each and every moment and character is important to the overarching story. The show starts with Jonas recovering from the loss of his father, and the story expands further, showing us that Mikkel, who was the boy who went missing in the first episode, is actually Jonas's father. To make things more crazy, Jonas himself was the one who brought Mikkel into the past, but a different Jonas, one from a different timeline. Eventually, it expands further into how inextricably linked everyone is in the past, present, and future, where there's no distinction between both these 3 timelines. The main set of characters in this show mainly come from these 4 families, outside of Noah of course, and holy moly, things get mind-boggling here. Jonas sent Mikkel to the past. Mikkel becomes Jonas' father. One complete cycle. Noah and Elizabeth have a daughter called Charlotte, and the daughter suddenly goes missing, and they realize Elizabeth's mother is Charlotte. One complete loop again. All of this is only in season 1. This is literally the beginning. There's still way more stuff to talk about. The concept of there being light and dark, Adam being dark and Claudia and Eva being on the light, and later revealing there's a third world where Tannhaus the scientist lost his family and created this machine, creating both Jonas and Martha's world. This is brilliant writing. Let's talk about the dialogue. The dialogue in this show is something else. Everything said is crucial, even if it's lies or foreshadowing or big concepts like the time paradox or Schrodinger's cat I mentioned earlier. Even if my tiny brain can find them tough to comprehend at first. It's a joke, by the way. I absolutely loved it. It keeps you glued to the screen. Despite having a complex narrative or plot with big concepts, never once did the show fail to write great characters. Our main set of characters here are all important, have more than one dimension to them, and are very down to earth, making them very realistic due to their struggles being very down to earth as well. Yes, it's a show about the very fabric of space and time, but also about a father trying to find his son, a teenager who lost his father and at a very early age and is coping from that loss, about love between both Martha and Jonas, jealousy and betrayal and all that. So the story also has a very real element to it and not fantastical. Every time a character says this feels like deja vu or a glitch in the matrix or something like that, you know there's some crazy revelations going to happen. Like for example, both Noah and his sister, aka Agnes Nielsen, who is also Ulrich Nielsen's grandmother, and also a Tiedemann because of their father Bartosz, whose grandfather is Egon Tiedemann, and his wife Silja is the daughter of Egon Tideman, is just crazy. Both Silja and Adam, aka Jonas, are siblings. That's even more crazy. And here's the thing, I bet that if time travel was a real thing, all of you would want to check your own family tree and those of your neighbors as well and friends, especially after watching this show. So you see, they are all connected. All four of these families share similarity in terms of family and blood, but vary in time. You know how in season 1 and 2, it's not about how, but what time. But in season 3, it's not about what time, it's about what world. They introduce this world where Jonas doesn't even exist. That's even more crazy. And in the final episode, Claudia comes out of nowhere and tells Adam of this third world that gave birth to these two worlds in the first place, and this relates to the 3 signs interlinked in the Sync Mundus logo, and the number 3 being very significant in this show as well. So it's not only about light and dark, it's about something else as well. Life is like a labyrinth, probably the most memorable line in the show for me, and also the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning is a very iconic line from this show as well. This is all so crazy if you think about it. It's insane how a lot of these revelations happen and it all makes sense. How is this not Netflix's best show? And that ending, they stuck the landing and ended the show at the right time. This deserves to be up there with some of the best shows ever made. If you have friends who haven't seen this masterpiece, you need to recommend it to them. I also think the idea of an apocalypse is brilliant because it keeps the pacing up on its toes. It doesn't feel like dragging at all. So really props to the writers. And the cinematography is both horrifying and beautiful. Props to the cinematographer. And I haven't even talked about the music in the show yet, from its ominous score to its songs that you use at the end of almost every episode. Okay, I will say this one thing. I did not like something about season 3, and that's the transitions from scene to scene, where it's mostly zoom-ins, and I'm not a fan of that because it causes the tension in those scenes to disperse immediately. And I know I said you should recommend this show to your friends, but here's the thing, I don't think it's a show for everyone as well. You have to be focused on the show, and some people are not fans of subtitles, and you need to remember a lot of things going into the show. You need to remember a lot of the things that happen in the show, and also character faces, so that the future setup can be more earned. And yeah, those are my thoughts in this show. If you like this video, click the like button. If you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, and see you guys next time. You guys are always the best.